Hare Krishna, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. May Krishna bless all of us for an auspicious year ahead in our Krishna consciousness. We'll start off, we're reading Adi-lila, chapter 12, Expansions of Advaita Acharya. And we'll finish the chapter off today, but we'll start with text number 88, which we have on the projector up here. Chakravarti Shivananda Sada Brajavasi Mahashaka Majeteno Sudrida Vishvasi Chakravarti Shivananda Sada Brajavasi Mahashaka Majeteno Sudrida Vishvasi Chakravarti Shivananda Sada Brajavasi Mahashaka Majeteno Sudrida Vishvasi Chakravarti Shivananda of the name Shivananda Chakravarti Sada always Brajavasi resident of Vrindavan Mahashaka Madhye amongst the greatest branches Teno he is Sudrida Vishvasi possessing firm faith. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shivananda Chakravarti, the 33rd branch, who always lived in Vrindavan with firm conviction, is considered an important branch of Gadadhara Pandit. Purport. The Gaura Ganadishtapika, verse 183, mentions that Shivananda Chakravarti was formerly Labanga Manjari. The Shaka Nirnaya, written by Yadunandan Das, also names other branches as follows. Number 1, Madhavacharya. Number 2, Gopal Das. 3, Hridayananda. 4, Vallabha Bhatta. The Vallabha Sampradaya or Pushti Marg Sampradaya is very famous. Number 5, Madhu Pandit. This famous devotee lived near Kadadaha in the village known as Shani Bona Gram, about 2 miles east of the Kadadaha station, and constructed the temple of Gopinath Ji in Vrindavan. Number 6, Achyutananda. 7, Chandrasekhar. Number 8, Rakrishva Pandit. Number 9, Damodar. Number 10, Bhagavan Acharya. Number 11, Ananta Acharya Varya. Number 12, Krishnadas. Number 13, Paramananda Bhattacharya. Number 14, Bhavananda Goswami. Number 25, Caitanya Das. Number 16, Lokanath Bhatta. This devotee, who lived in the village of Talakadi in the district of Yashohara and constructed the temple of Radha Vinod, was a spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur and a great friend of Bhogabha Goswami. Number 17, Govinda Acharya. Number 18, Akrura Thakur. Number 19, Sanketa Acharya. Number 20, Pratapaditya. Number 21, Kamalakanta Acharya. Number 22, Yadava Acharya. And 23, Narayana Padihari, a resident of Jagannath Puri. So we'll just continue on to finish off this chapter. Text number 89. Thus I have briefly described the branches and sub-branches of Gadadhar Pandit. There are still many more that I have not mentioned here. Text number 90. All the followers of Gadadhar Pandit are considered great devotees because they have Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu as their life and soul. Text number 91. Simply by remembering the names of all these branches and sub-branches of the three trunks I have described, Nityananda, Advaita and Gadadhar, one attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. Text number 92. Simply by remembering the names of all these Vaishnavas, one can attain the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, simply by remembering their holy names, one achieves the fulfillment of all desires. Hari Bol. Text number 93. Therefore, offering my obeisances at the lotus feet of them all, I shall describe the pastimes of the gardener Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in chronological order. Text number 94. The ocean of the pastimes of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu is immeasurable and unfathomable. Who can take the courage to measure that great ocean? Text number 95. It is not possible to dip into that great ocean, but its sweet mellow flavour attracts my mind. I therefore stand on the shore of that ocean to try to taste but a drop of it. And text number 96, which is the last one for this chapter. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, following in their footsteps. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila, chapter 12, describing the expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandit. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Omagana Chamanandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chaksho Ummi Tamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're hearing about some of in this chapter we've been hearing about the branches coming from Lord Nityananda Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Pandit, and we're hearing some of the names of the tree coming from Gadadhar Pandit. And as Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was explaining, that by remembering all these names of the sub-branches and the branches of the three trunks, one attains freedom from the entanglement of material existence. So these are not ordinary personalities, they're all eternal associates of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. As we know that when Caitanya Mahaprabhu appears in this world, he comes with all of his potencies and shaktis and expansions, and also all of his eternal associates from the spiritual realm. So all of these personalities we're hearing about are all of Lord Chaitanya's eternal associates. So there wasn't a lot of information. The main verse we're hearing about today was on Shivananda Chakravarti, but I couldn't find a lot of information about him anywhere. There were a few verses in different locations I found, but it is explained, as we heard today, that he is, in the spiritual world, is Labanga Manjari. So one of the Manjaris in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. So there's a little bit of information. There's an image there on the board of Labanga Manjari. So it says, among the disciples of Anantacharya was Shivananda Chakravarti, in whose heart Lord Caitanya and Lord Nityananda constantly dwelled. Let's explain some information about Lavanga Manjari. In the eastern part of Tungya Vidya's Kunja lies Lavanga Shuka Kunja, which is very enchanting to all the beautiful-eyed gopis. In that kunj, Sri Lavanga Manjari always blissfully resides. In age, she is one day older than Sri Rupa Manjari, and she is very famous for her pleasant nature. Her complexion is like lightning, and she wears a dress marked with stars. She gives much happiness to Sri Krishna, and her nature is always Dakshina Mridvi. Her age is 13 years, 6 months, and 1 day. In Kali Yuga and Gaura-lila, she is also known as Sri Sanatana Goswami, so it appears there's some sort of crossover there between Lavanga Manjari and Sanatana Goswami and Chakravarti Shivananda. So this is one of the mysteries of the spiritual realm, is that a personality can appear in different forms in this realm here. So that was all the information I could find about Shivananda Chakravarti. I'm sure there's probably a samadhi. I don't know if anyone knows if there's a samadhi of Shivananda Chakravarti in Vrindavan, maybe in the 64 samadhis possibly. I'm not familiar. I'm going to Vrindavan in March, so I'm going to go on a mission to see if I can find some more information about Shivananda Chakravarti and maybe see if there's a samadhi there, because it's explained that he always lived in Vrindavan with firm conviction. So there must be some traces there of Shivananda Chakravarti. But fortunately in the purport, Prabhupada does mention so many other personalities coming from this branch of Gadadhar Pandit, so we can explore some of them. Obviously we can't, you could probably spend days and days talking about each individual person, but we won't do that. So we can look at some of the other prominent ones that Prabhupada did mention here in the purport. So Vallabha Bhatta was one that Prabhupada explains. The Vallabha Sampradaya, or Pushti Marg Sampradaya, is very famous. So we can look a bit further into Vallabhacharya. Fortunately, there's quite a bit of information on Sri Vallabhacharya. So it's explained that Vallabha Bhatta was a great learned scholar of Vaishnavism. In the beginning, he was very much devoted to Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, but since he thought that he could not receive proper respect from him, he later joined the Vishnu Swami sect and became Acharya of that sect. His sect is celebrated as the Vallabhacharya Sampradaya. The Sampradaya has great influence in Vrindavan near Gokul and in Mumbai. Vallabha Bhatta wrote many books, including a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam called Subodhini Tika, and notes on the Vedanta Sutra in the form of an Anubhasa. He also wrote a combination of 16 short works called Sodasa Grantha. Adi-lila Gram, where he was staying, was near the confluence of the rivers Ganges and Yamuna, on the other side of the Yamuna, about 1 mile from the river. The village there is called Adi-lila Gram or Adi-lila Gram. A temple of Lord Vishnu is still there, belonging to the Vallabha Sampradaya. I'll try and just skip through it so we don't have to get too caught up in too much detail. Okay. There are 5 sections of the Brahmana community of Andhra Pradesh known as Bala Nati, Vega Nati, Muraki Nati, Talaga Nati and Kashala Nati. Out of these 5 Brahminical communities, Vallabhacharya took his birth in the community of Bala Nati in the year 1400 Shakabda era. According to some people, Vallabha Bhattacharya's father took sannyas before Vallabha's birth, and he returned home to take Vallabhacharya as a son. According to the opinion of others, Vallabhacharya was born in 1400 Shakabda era on the Ekadasi day of the dark moon in the month of Chaitra, and he took his birth in a Brahmana family surnamed Kambam Patibaru. It's a mouthful. Kambam Patibaru. According to this account, his father's name was Lakshmana Bhatta Dikshita, and he was born in Champakaranya. Champakaranya is another Aranya, Champakaranya. In someone else's opinion, Vallabhacharya appeared near the village named Chanpa Jari Gram, which is near a railway station named Rajima in Madhya Pradesh. After studying for 11 years at Varanasi, Vallabhacharya returned home. On his return, he heard that his father had departed from the material world, keeping his brother and mother at home. He went to the banks of the river Tungabhadra in a village called Vijayanagara, and was there that he enlightened Krishnadev, the grandson of King Bukharaj. After that, he travelled throughout India, thrice on trips lasting 6 years. Thus he passed 18 years and became victorious in his discussions of revealed scripture. When he was 30 years old, he married Mahalakshmi, who belonged to the same Brahmana community. Near Govardhan Hill, he established the deity in the valley. Finally, he came to Adi-lila, which is on the other side of Prayag. So Vallabhacharya had 2 sons, Gopinath and Vitaleshvara, and in his old age he accepted the renounced order. In 1542 Shakabda era, he passed away from the material world at Varanasi. His book, known as Sodasa Grantha, and his commentaries on Vedanta Sutra, Anubhas, and Srimad Bhagavatam, Subodhini, are very famous. He has written many other books besides these. From the Chaitanya Caritamrita, Adi-lila, 1961. In the Skanda Purana, there is a story of an old man residing in Hastinapur, capital of the kingdom of the Pandus, who desired Krishna as his beloved son. This old man was instructed by Narada to follow in the footsteps of Nanda Maharaj, and thus he achieved success. There is a statement in the Narayan Vyuha Stava prayers that persons who are always engaged in thinking of the Lord as their husband, friend, father, or well-wisher are always worshipful by everyone. This spontaneous love for Krishna can be developed only by the special mercy of Krishna or his pure devotee. This process of devotional service is sometimes called Pushti Marg. Pushti means nourishing and Marga means path. Such development of sentiment nourishes devotional service to the highest standard. Thus it is called the path of nourishment or Pushti Marg. The Vallabha Sampradaya, which belongs to the Vishnu Swami sect of Vaishnava religion, worships Krishna in this Pushti Marg. Generally, devotees in Gujarat worship Balakrishna under this heading of Pushti Marg. Yes, so Prabhupada did mention that in the purport, so there's a little bit of an elaboration on what this Pushti Marg is about, which is developing a certain type of bhakti mood towards Krishna. And being a husband, friend, father. Whereas in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, we're following in the footsteps of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and we're cultivating a certain type of mood or feeling in our sadhana towards our devotion towards Krishna, which is Gopipatu Padakamal Dasta Sanvidas, being a servant of the servant of the servant of the servants of Radharani. So there are different sampradayas with different moods and different emphasis. So in this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, this is the mood that we are cultivating in our sadhana, which is considered the topmost form of devotion to Lord Krishna, as was taught by Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, which is why he's the most magnanimous incarnation, because he's freely distributing what no other incarnation has ever done before, which is giving this mood of loving Krishna in that particular bhav. So that was a bit about Sri Vallabhacharya. I'm sure there's more information about him, but due to time constraints, we'll keep moving onwards. On to the next personality, Sri Vallabhacharya Ki Jai. So the next one we heard about was Madhu Pandit. This famous devotee lives near Kadadaha in the village known as Shani Bonagram, about 2 miles east of the Kadadaha station, and constructed the temple of Gopinathji in Vrindavan. So Vrajranabha, Lord Krishna's great-grandson, installed the original Gopinath deity in Vrindavan over 5,000 years ago. About 500 years ago, Paramananda Bhattacharya discovered the deity in the earth at Vamshivata on the banks of the Yamuna. Madhu Pandit Goswami, a disciple of Sri Gadadhar Pandit, worshipped the Gopinath deity. The original temple was desecrated by the soldiers of Aurangzeb in 1670. So this is the, and you can see in the middle top slide, that's the original temple of Gopinath in Vrindavan. So the original deity was removed from Vrindavan during the terrorist Aurangzeb's attack in Vrindavan in 1670, where unfortunately many of the original beautiful temples of the Goswamis were destroyed in very horrible ways. So the devotees, to keep the deities safe, a lot of them were taken to Jaipur in Rajasthan, where they are now. So now there's a lot of these original deities have the Pratibhu Murti, or the non-different from the original one. They're considered non-different at all. So the original temple, after it was just desecrated by Aurangzeb in 1670, a new temple was constructed just behind the old Gopinath Mandir. So the lower picture is the new Gopinath Mandir. The original Gopinath deity is in Jaipur, where he was sent for safekeeping. The deity in the temple is a Pratibhu Murti, which is considered non-different from the original deity. Bhakti Ratnakar says that Sri Gopinathji, who is an ocean of mercy, forever sports along the enchanting banks of the Yamuna at Vamshivata. His bodily luster steals the mind of whoever sees him. So you can see the picture of Gopinathji on the left-hand side there. When the soothing sweetness of Gopinathji's charming form enters the heart, it immediately extinguishes the fire of material existence. Madhu Pandit Goswami blessed Srinivasacharya with Gopinath's garland before Srinivas, Narottam and Shamananda took the bullock cart of the Goswami scriptures from Vrindavan. In Goloka Vrindavan, Madhu Pandit Goswami serves as Mandali Saki in the group of Champakalata Saki. The Samadhi of Madhu Pandit Goswami is on the right side of the entrance within the compound of the Radha Gopinath Temple in Vrindavan. So on the right hand side, that's the Samadhi of Madhu Pandit Prabhu. So when you go to Vrindavan, you can have darshan of Madhu Pandit, because it's explained that the Samadhi is where the personality is actually present there, so you can pray to these personalities for their mercy and their development in your Krishna consciousness. So that's the mercy of going to Vrindavan, is that you can associate with these personalities and you can chant japa there, you can do kirtan there, and you can pray for their mercy to advance in Krishna consciousness. And of course pray to the advancement for everybody else and their Krishna consciousness as well. So that's a bit about Madhu Pandit and the Gopinath Mandir. I'm sure some of you have been there before, to Gopinath Mandir. You have?
I'm from Jaipur.
Ah, very nice. So you've probably seen these original deities before, have you? Yeah, very, very lucky. Radha Damodar. Very nice. Yes, very nice. I think Indraduma Swami. You know Indraduma Swami? Have you heard of Indraduma Swami before? He's an ISKCON sannyasi.
Yeah,
he took a tour group over there very recently. You were there?
No, I wasn't there.
Ah, you saw some pictures maybe. Yeah, very good. Very nice. Yeah, I haven't been to Jaipur yet. I'd like to go one day. Yeah, maybe you can take me there. Take me on a tour. All right. We'll make it a date. So we'll continue on. We have Lokanath Bhatta. This devotee who lived in the village of Talakadi in the district of Yashohara and constructed the temple of Radha Vinod was a spiritual master of Narottam Das Thakur and a great friend of Borogaba Goswami. So this particular person is very, very significant in the Gaudiya history. So you can see on the left-hand side there, that is the Samadhi of Lokanath Bhatta, and you can visit this Samadhi in Vrindavan. So we'll continue reading on a little about this personality. In the village of Talakori Gram in the Yashora district lives the mother and father of Srila Lokanath Goswami. His father's name was Padmanabha and his mother's name was Sri Sita Devi. Sri Padmana Bhattacharya was a very dear follower of Sri Advaitacharya. One day Sri Lokanath Goswami took his birth in the house of Sri Padmanabha and Sri Sita Devi. His younger brother's name was Sri Pragalabha Bhattacharya. The descendants of Pragalabha still live in Talakori Gram. From his very early childhood, Srila Lokanath was indifferent to family life. One day, giving up his mother and father and leaving his home behind forever, he went to Mayapur in Navadvip to take darshan of the holy feet of Sri Gauranga. Sri Gauranga Dev embraced Lokanath Goswami with great affection, and soon he ordered Lokanath Goswami to quickly go to Vrindavan. But Lokanath Goswami could understand by certain evidence that Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would leave home and take sannyas within 2 or 3 days. Therefore, he was in great anxiety. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu could understand the mind and heart of Lokanath Goswami and consoled him, saying, "We shall be reunited in Vrindavan." In this connection, Srila Narahari Chakravarti has written in his Bhakti Ratnakara, quote, "While he was weeping and weeping, crying out his heart at the lotus feet of Sri Caitanya, Lokanath felt himself being caught up and embraced by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, as Lokanath bid him farewell, the Lord gave him a confidential message which consoled him greatly. After this, he offered his soul at the lotus feet of Sriman Mahaprabhu, and after giving his pranams to all the devotees, he went on his way. After this, Lokanath never returned to home life. Rather, afflicted with deep separation from Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he began wandering from one holy place of pilgrimage to the next. Gradually, after visiting many holy places, he came to Vrindavan Dham. In the meantime, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and went to Jagannath Puri. After staying in Puri for some time, the Lord had a mind to deliver the fallen souls, and so he began his tour of South India. So Lord Caitanya was touring South India for 6 years. Hearing of the Lord's tour of South India, Sri Lokanath also went to South India in search of the Lord. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, after visiting many holy places of pilgrimage in South India, again returned to Jagannath Puri for some time. Finally, he came to Vrindavan. Hearing of this, Lokanath Goswami quickly went to Vrindavan. Meanwhile, Caitanya Mahaprabhu had already left for Prayag Dham. Arriving in Vrindavan and not seeing Mahaprabhu, Lokanath was heartbroken. He resolved to set everything right by starting out the very next morning for Prayag to meet the Lord. That night the Lord came to him in a dream and consoled him, saying, "O Lokanath, staying in Vrindavan, I have not broken my vow. I have already come to Vrindavan and live there in another form. In this way you shall always maintain my connection." A few days later, Srila Lokanath Goswami chanced to meet the most dear followers of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, Sri Gopala Bhatta, Sri Bhugabha and others. The exchange of divine love between them was wonderful to behold. They were all of one mind, one heart. In the midst of the Goswamis, Sri Lokanath was the oldest. He was fully absorbed in praying. Sri Lokanath Goswami was the eldest of the Goswamis living in Braj Bhumi. He shunned name and fame. It is said that when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami went to Lokanath Goswami and asked his blessings to compile the Sri Caitanya Caritamrita, Lokanath Goswami gave his blessings but prohibited Kaviraj Goswami from mentioning his name in the Caitanya Caritamrita. For fear of violating the order of Lokanath, Kaviraj Goswami has only briefly mentioned him in the Caitanya Caritamrita. He's a very, very humble devotee. His body and mind were completely attached to Vrindavan Dham. His ears existed only to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he once said, anyone who reads the Srimad Bhagavatam, he is my friend. And it's a quote that Lokanath Goswami has made. Sri Lokanath Goswami wandered throughout all the 12 forests of Vrindavan in great ecstasy. And one of the forests there is a village named Umaro. There he stayed for some time on the banks of Kishori Kund. He had a great desire to establish the worship of the deity and render service to Krishna in that way. Understanding Lokanath's aspiration to serve Krishna himself appeared before him and offered Lokanath a vigraha, saying, worship this deity here. This deity's name is Radha Vinod. After giving him this beautiful deity, the Lord suddenly disappeared. At this, Lokanath Goswami became stricken with anxiety. Seeing him absorbed in worry, Radha Vinod smiled and said, why have you brought me here? I have come here personally just to satisfy your purpose. What do you want from me? I live in the forest here near the village of Umaro, by this Kishori Kund. You see, before you I made my residence. You must now give me something to eat quickly. Lokanath Goswami's joy knew no bounds, and he floated in waves of praying. After this, he prepared an offering for the Lord to eat. After offering fine rice on a fresh banana leaf to the deity, he experienced great ecstasy by offering his life at the lotus feet of the Lord. He was stunned by drinking in the nectarian beauty of the Lord. After this, he offered a bed of flowers and made the Lord rest. Lokanath Goswami made this place his home, and the local villagers and cowherd men wanted to construct a bhajan kutir for him, but he refused to accept it. In order to protect the deity, he prepared a cloth bag which he would keep around his neck at all times. Sri Radha Vinod became like a jewelled necklace around the neck of Lokanath Goswami. The cloth bag was his temple. This was Lokanath Goswami's practice until the day he disappeared from this earth, and as an example of the strict vairagya he maintained. With great care, he always stayed in the association of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. So you can see the image there with Lokanath Goswami with this deity that he would carry in this cloth bag with him wherever he went. Although first rejecting Narottam Dastakor as a disciple, he appreciated Narottam's genuine humility and determination to serve him. Every night for 1 year, Narottam Dastakor secretly served his guru by carefully cleaning the field where Lokanath had passed stool. So he was doing this for 1 year. When Lokanath Goswami did his ablutions, Narottam Dastakor would come at night to clear it away in a deep sense of humility. So Lokanath Goswami, being very impressed by this service and humility of Narottam Dastakor, initiated him, and he was actually the only initiated disciple of Lokanath Goswami. So Lokanath Goswami's original deities of Radha Vinod are now worshipped in Jaipur, Rajasthan. A Pratibhu Murti, expanded from the original deity of Radha Vinod, adorns the altar at the Radha Gokulananda Temple in Vrindavan. The Samadhi of Lokanath Goswami is the largest one in the temple courtyard. He serves Srimati Radhi as Manjuali Manjari in the Nitya Vrindavan Lila. So that's the Samadhi that's there. I think there's also at that same Samadhi place is the maybe Pushpa Samadhi of Narottam Dastakor, and also a disciple of Narottam Dastakor, I think is Ganga Narayan possibly. So once again, it's another place you can have darshan of Lokanath Goswami in his Samadhi. And there are some nice prayers that Narottam Dastakor offered to his guru Lokanath Goswami. I worship the lotus feet of Sri Lokanath Goswami Prabhu, the son of Sri Padmanabha. He is a storehouse of single-minded service to the lotus feet of Radha Vinod. And there's also one more nice little prayer that Narottam Das Thakur has offered. O Lokanath, O Gurudev, if you are pleased with me, please keep me in the shelter of your lotus feet and cast your merciful glance upon me. By your mercy I can find the perfection of inner fulfillment, and by your mercy I can someday meet Sri Caitanya and Radha Krishna. If you're not merciful to me, then what shall I do? Please just once fulfill my heart's desire. And the three worlds of birth and death, and the three worlds of birth and death, no one is more in need of your mercy. Please give me your mercy and give me a place at your lotus feet. Day and night I sing the qualities and pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Still the inner aspirations of Narottam for the service of Sri Sri Radha Govinda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can only be realised through your grace, O Lokanath Goswami Prabhu. So nice prayers and meditations from Narottam Das Thakur on his spiritual master Lokanath Goswami. So that's some more information about Lokanath Goswami. We can continue on to the next person we heard in the purport was Burgaba Goswami, who was also a very close friend with Lokanath Goswami. So this is the image here is of Burgaba Goswami's samadhi in Vrindavan. You can read a bit more and hear a bit more about Burgaba Goswami. So from Adi-lila chapter 12, the 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Burgaba Goswami, and the 12th was Bhagavat Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Purport. Burgaba Goswami, formerly known as Prema Manjari, was a great friend of Lokanath Goswami, who constructed the temple of Gokulananda, one of the 7 important temples of Vrindavan. And those 7 temples are Govindaji, Gopinath, Madan Mohan, Radha Raman, Shamasundar, Radha Damodar, and Gokulananda. They are authorised institutions of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. So he received the name Burgaba because he used to perform his bhajan hidden inside a hole in the ground. He was ordered in a dream by Lord Caitanya along with Lokanath Goswami to locate the lost forests of Vrindavan. They arrived in Braj just prior to Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. So as we know, Rupa and Sanatan were instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan to locate all of the pastime places of Radha and Krishna. And we also hear that Lokanath and Burgaba were also instructed in the same way in a dream to also go to Vrindavan to find these places. So unlike the aggressive approach of modern scientists to discover the unknown, Burgaba and Lokanath Goswamis found Krishna's pastime forests by the humble method of surrender. They simply wandered around Vrindavan calling out the names of the 12 forests. Bhadravan, Kamyavan, Mahavan, Talavan, and Srimati Vrindadevi, the maintainer of the forests and expansion of Krishna's pastime potency, revealed the exact location of each and every forest. So this is the secret method that these personalities use for finding these pastime places in Vrindavan, that they were calling out for the mercy, and Vrindadevi, through her mercy, chose to reveal these places to Lokanath and Burgaba. So when you visit Vrindavan, there's many places you can go to which are the bhajan kuters of these Goswamis, Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami. So these are the places that they would reside and would meditate on these pastimes and would write so many literatures revealing to us these different wonderful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So we're very lucky that these personalities preceded us, so we're able to go to these places and appreciate these pastime environments, because even when 500 years ago Vrindavan was just a simple village, it was a forest that was overgrown. And it's explained that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Radha Kund, it was just like a little pond in the middle of a rice paddy field. So no one knew that this was actually Radha Kund and Shama Kund. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was meditating and realised through his divine inspiration that this is the bathing place of Radharani, and he bathed in this place. And then over time, when the Goswamis came to Vrindavan, they excavated this Radha Kund and turned it into this wonderful Kund that we have there now. And apparently even Rajranabha, who was Krishna's great-grandson, had also done excavations at Radha Kund. So when the kunds are being cleaned out, you can still see these sandstone walls that were created by Vajranabha around 5,000 years ago. And the Goswamis obviously have developed it further and further. So very, very fortunate through the mercy of these Goswamis that they've given us access to these pastime places. It's told that to avoid material distractions, Bhogaba would perform his bhajan underground, so he received the name Bhogaba. Bhu means earth, Gaba means cave, womb, hidden place. He is Prema Manjari or Bhadra Rakika and Radha Gopinath's Nitya Nikunja Lila. His samadhi stands near Sri Rupa Goswami's in the Radha Damodar Temple courtyard. Yeah, so this is in the Radha Damodar courtyard, which is a very, very important temple in Vrindavan, and there are several different samadhis at Radha Damodar, and also this samadhi of Rupa Goswami, and Srila Prabhupada's rooms are there. I'm sure some of you have been to these rooms before. Prabhupada had 2 rooms, his Bhajan Kutir, where he would write his books, and his kitchen, where he would cook and take prasadam, and out of the window of this kitchen he could see Rupa Goswami's samadhi. So you can visit these places when you visit Vrindavan. Just as there is very little mentioned in the scripture about the life of Sri Lokanath Goswami, in the same way there is little written about his dear friend Srila Bhogaba Goswami. Sri Lokanath and Sri Bhogaba Goswami were of one heart and mind. On the order of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they went to live in Vrindavan. Bhogaba Goswami was a disciple of Gadadhar Pandit. Among his disciples were Sri Govindadev's Pujari Caitanya Das, as well as Mukunda Nandana Chakrabarti, Premi Krishnadas and others. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, the 11th branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Bhogaba Goswami, and the 12th was Bhagavad Das. Both went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Sri Kavi Kanipur writes in his Guru Ganadesh Tipika that Bhogaba Goswami was formerly the gopi named Prema Manjari in Vrindavan. While in Vrindavan, Bhogaba Goswami passed away and entered into the unmanifest pastimes of the Lord on the 14th day of the full moon in the month of Kartik. Lokanath Goswami and Bhogaba Goswami lived together in Vrindavan as one. Srila Narahari Chakravarti Thakur writes about them in his Bhakti Ratnakara. Bhogaba Goswami and Lokanath Goswami were world preachers. They were so close and affectionate to one another, they were like one body. In Vrindavan, Bhogaba Goswami and Lokanath Goswami were regarded as among the principal Goswamis, as they were senior by age and experience to many. The foremost among the subsequent followers of Rupa Goswami and Narottam Das Thakur writes about Bhogaba Goswami, with whom he had much affection and association. So this is written by Narottam Das Thakur. Oh Hari, why am I addicted to this abominable path of karma? I didn't worship Radha Krishna in Braj, even one iota, nor could I understand the position of spontaneous devotion, Raga Marg. Sarup Damodar, Sanat Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Bhogaba Goswami, Jiva Goswami and Lokanath Goswami. I never offered a drop of service to the lotus feet. How then shall I attain the goal of life? So, that's a little bit about some of these personalities we're hearing about in these purports. And yeah, I encourage everybody that when you read Chaitanya Caritamrita to study these personalities, find out a bit more about who they are. And when we have more of an understanding of who they were in Krishna Lila, then we can approach them in a mood of humility and ask for their blessings and for their mercy to develop our Krishna consciousness. So please do take time to read the Chaitanya Caritamrita. There's a lot of nectar in here. It's the essence of our Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And as I said, by just hearing these names, there's so much benediction and mercy just by hearing about these names. So what to speak of when we study them and we learn about them and read about them, and we can pray for their mercy. So very, very fortunate. So we can stop there. And we've ended this chapter, so we're starting chapter 13 next, which will be very timely, the event of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, as we have Gaura Punim fast approaching very soon, so we can further delve into the meditations on Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance in this world. So anybody have any points or questions, or maybe someone has some more information about some of these people we were hearing about and reading about? Hari Sori Prabhu. You can use this one if you like.
Just an additional comment on the Pushti Marg, Sri Vallabhacharya. He was originally a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but after violating the Vaishnava etiquette by writing a commentary on the Bhagavatam, which he claimed was greater than that by the commentaries of Sridhar Swami, who was the original commentator, then there was some falling out. Nowadays, Pushti Marg is quite extensive, as Prabhupada mentions there, I think in Bombay, several other places. And they generally, you'll see, they carry, some of the followers carry small baskets with a deity of Balagopal. And the reason for that is because their concept of the highest Leelas is a little different from the Gaudiya Vaishnava. They don't worship, they don't accept Radha Krishna Leela as being the topmost manifestation of Godhead. They rather worship Balagopal in that topmost position. The reason being that they consider that as a small boy, then he's completely innocent. But when Krishna began to liaise with Radharani and the gopis, then they consider that now he's become contaminated. So that's just a little, for anybody that's going to India, you see these ladies, mainly the ladies, but you see the devotees carrying these deities of Balagopal. They're generally Pushti Marg, and there is that difference in philosophy between them and the Gaudiya Vaishnavas.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to share or add at all? The sacred mantras are being chanted now, Sarira Vijidal, so we should take prasadam. Jai Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki Jai, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.